وتقديرنا بها جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها جميع السيئات وترفعنا بها عندك أعلى الدرجات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياة وبعد الممات وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Let your blessings and your peace be on your servant and your messenger Muhammad and on his family and his companions. Allahumma ya Allah, on this glorious day, in conjunction with the opening ceremony of our webinar, we uphold our hands to pray gratefully, to thank on your infinite favors to us, so we can live in peace and harmony, to perform our task as your servant. O Allah, we ask your blessings to make this occasion in success. Allahumma ya Hayyu ya Qayyum ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram. You are the mercy of the mercies, and you are the Lord of the universe. Give us mercy from your presence, and shape for us right conduct in our plight. We ask you for knowledge which is beneficial, and sustenance which is good, and deeds which are acceptable. O Allah, help us to remember you, to thank you, and to worship you in the best of manners. Forgive us, have mercy upon us, guide us, give us health, and grant us sustenance. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكون من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا جنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Ikmal Dene, for the wonderful recitation. Before we move on with our tentative, I would like everyone to stand up and sing along to Negaraku and Wawasan Setia Warga UiTM. Thank you, everyone, and please be seated. All right. Before we start with our webinar's topic, I'd like to pass the spotlight to our project manager, Mr. Alif Ikwan, for a little speech. The stage is yours, Alif.
Thank you to our MCs, Haikal Afiq and Noor Shazwani. Assalamualaikum and a very good late evening to our advisor, Dr. Noor Hayati Muhammad Yusof, our respected speaker, Dr. Noor Azizah Tahir, VIPs, and of course all of our esteemed audience. First off, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all of our audiences here today, whether you are in our WebEx meeting or in our YouTube live stream. Thank you very much for your willingness to spend your 2 hours of your Saturday night for this webinar. I'm beyond grateful to have each and one of you here tonight. So, welcome to our webinar that will be focusing on the topic of understanding and crafting work-life balance. Surely most of us would know and understand how important, how crucial this topic here is actually tonight, especially when we are still in the midst of a global pandemic. Some of us experience burnout, loss of mood, or maybe the feeling of emptiness inside. Thus, we truly hope that with the sharing, with the presentation and Q&A session that we will have here tonight, we can raise our knowledge and awareness regarding this topic. Well, I will not let myself get in the way of this webinar. And with that, I personally hope that this webinar, generating synergy in life, understanding and crafting work-life balance, will open our eyes and illuminate our lives. That is all from me. Thank you very much and feel free to enjoy the show from here.
Thank you so much, Alif, our project manager. This wouldn't have happened if it weren't for you. For today's webinar, we'll be presenting on a general topic that a number of adults go through in their life, which is generating synergy, life, understanding and crafting work-life balance, presented by Dr. Noor Azizah, a family medicine specialist in Springfield Medical Center, Queensland, Australia. Now, before we get into everything, let's take a look at a little teaser that our team had prepared exclusively for this webinar.
Hi, my name is Alif. I'm 25 years old. What is my typical day life? The same as others. I usually wake up at 6 every day, except for Sunday when I like to sleep in. To be honest, I wish every day was Sunday. How you choose to spend your time after an early morning wake up is your call. As for me, things that I do after getting up are taking a shower, prepare my breakfast. Obviously, I need to cook for myself since I am living alone in this big city. I normally have a simple breakfast, eggs, sausages, and a cup of coffee. Who doesn't love coffee, right? Most days, I leave the house 20 minutes before 8. Yeah, it doesn't take that long for me to reach my office. I only need to walk for about 5 minutes to the subway station, which is 2 minutes from my flat. I usually take the train because it's quicker. Everything is moving fast in this big city. The station is packed and moving so fast. Commuters all over and everyone rushing to get to their destination. So I need to keep up. Oh, did I tell you that I worked at a prestigious company? They provide many benefits and perks that I think it was a good deal for me. And when I said prestigious company with many benefits, there will be no time to waste. No smoking, no talking, no resting. You know, those things are a waste of time. I work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I work non-stop as I have so many tasks that need to be done in a day. You can see how many documents that I need to go through. But that doesn't bother me at all because I'm used to it. If I'm busy, I'll just skip my lunch. When the clock strikes 8 p.m., it is my cue to head back home. By the time I reach home, the sky has already closed their curtains. And you know, leaving the office after 12 hours of work can leave you feeling drained and lethargic. Even my body is tired. I won't go to bed until it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Yes, when it's late and you still don't feel sleepy despite knowing you need some rest. But hey, I'm used to it. Basically, every day is the same. It doesn't change that much. Same old, same old. The only thing that I know is I'm just trying to get through the day. I'm definitely tired of my routine. Until one day, I realized that I've no motivation to get out of bed in the morning. I feel empty. I don't know why. For some reason, I feel like I'm lost in the wilderness with no way out. The steps feel heavy as if I'm carrying a burden behind my back. Do you feel the same?
To begin, I would like to share a general overview about our topic for today. What does it mean by work-life balance? The main objective of this webinar is to help employers and employees on how to create a healthy work-life culture, especially during this pandemic. These days, work-life balance can seem like an impossible feat. Some might feel too overwhelmed with the pressure they have when working during this pandemic. It is true that work-life balance means something different to every individual. Therefore, with this webinar, it is hoped that you can learn a thing or two tips to help you find the balance that is right for you. So, please don't be hard to yourself. We hear you. Am I right, Haika?
Certainly, Wani. It's no surprise that working Malaysians are overworked and quite possibly have the worst work-life balance in the world. Mental illnesses such as clinical depression, generalized anxiety disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder are on the rise due to the increasing stress. In an article by The Sun, they mentioned that in 2017, 29% of Malaysians suffer anxiety and depression due to stress. This figure is expected to increase in the years to come. Quote, depression will be the world's #1 disability by 2020, warns Mental Health Group. With that said, let's get to know a bit better on who will be presenting today's webinar. Dr. Noor Azizah is a vocationally recognized general practitioner who returned to Australia in 2016 after working in Malaysia for 25 years. She is well versed with clinical contents as she was an associate professor in family medicine and had been involved in the establishment of national guidelines in Malaysia. Throughout her journey in life, she accumulated countless achievements. Some that are worth mentioning is a special interest in women's health, chronic disease, and mental health management. She also performed office general and gynae procedures like TNS and IND, wedge procedure, and so on.
A little education background of our speaker, Dr. Noor Azizah received a PhD in IIUM in 2019. She's also recognized as a general practitioner of Royal Australian College in 2006. Moreover, Dr. Noor Azizah is also received her mental health skills training in Australia in 2018 and received a certificate in teaching family medicine. Amazingly, Dr. Azizah also has published some of her astonishing work. Those includes as one of the model writers of Safe Mother and Well Women Care, one of the authors of Primary Care Obstetrics and Gynecology, and is an editor of Guide for Novice Researchers. Without any doubt, we think that Dr. Noor Azizah is the more qualified person to talk about our topic today, right? We are very grateful that Dr. Noor Azizah is willing to take some time off her busy schedule and spend the next 2 hours with us. Without further ado, let's give the floor to Dr. Noor Azizah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening, inshallah. First and foremost, I would like to thank Allah SWT. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu wassalamu ala ashrafi anbiya'i wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. Yes, to the fellow committees and the advisor, Dr. Noor Hayati, Jazakumullah khairan for entrusting me to share some of my thoughts with all of you, and also Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much for the very nice introduction. I guess before I proceed further, I would like to actually put some caveat right from the beginning. Actually, this topic is best presented by someone of a human resource background. To me, what I will be sharing is more of like a life experience with a limited experience in dealing with or managing people, and with some limited experience in this giving the mental health services to patient. Inshallah. Shall we make a start now? Can I have the slide? Because I'm having trouble to share the slide from here. Thank you.
We're waiting for our team to
Okay, cool.
pop up the slide.
Yes. All right.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now, next slide, please. Thank you. So it's basically, as I said, it's more like a sharing session. It's based on me being a practicing Muslim since I was 11 years old. And my Islamic bit understanding is just bit and pieces. I don't come from a formal Islamic education. And as I said, when it comes to work-life balance, it's usually just based off my humble experience running my own companies in the past in Malaysia. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Now, by the end of this webinar, maybe if each and every one of us can come up from it by having basically maybe these 5 or 6 learning objectives, yeah? So inshallah, by after these 60 slides or so, we can more or less discuss what is work-life balance, you know, and list some perspectives on this work-life balance and the perspective of from the Islamic point of view, the perspective maybe from employer point of view, the perspective coming from being an employee or a spouse of an employee, so on and so forth. So while doing that, there are basically more or less 4 major content that I would like to share. First is the meaning of synergy. I did present more or less the same talk last time, but in somewhere else, but the term synergy was not used. But this time around with the slide, we got the term synergy. So inshallah, I would like to share the meaning of synergy as we go along. And then the next one is discuss the meaning of barakah. When we talk about work-life balance, we have to look into the meaning of barakah. Now, and then also, of course, being a practicing Muslim, work-life balance from Islamic perspective, and of course, that word of balance, actually, to me, when I was given the topic, nothing else that came across my mind, except to infuse a little bit of my humble understanding on the concept of wasatiyah
Yes.
from the Islamic perspective. Yeah, can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Now, of late, sad to say, most of us throughout the world have been working from home, and so people have done study. You know, you ask many patients or many people, they would say, I prefer to go back to office. Yeah. So next slide, please. People are talking about the effect of working from home, you know, and how does that actually affect our emotional well-being? How does that affect into our ability to focus, how to balance, you know, what we do at home and our daily life activities and other work-related commitments. So this is what it's all about today. Next slide, please. So when come to this, people can, yeah, we're talking about the relationship between work and family functions. We're talking about, you know, satisfaction being able to function. So this work-life balance come in various definition. Is kind of a very loose definition that we're gonna come into it again. Okay, next slide. I just throwing some what I call it, brainstorming some terms, some situation, so that we have something in common as we go along this slide. So we're talking about work, we're talking about family, we're talking about private life, and then we're talking about the hours being demanded in fulfilling all these areas, you know, the work intensity, how much do we spend, work stuff at home, and how much we spend time with our family and for ourselves, inshallah. So if it's done in not in a very best way, it can result in fatigue, anxiety, and other adverse physiological, not only physiological, psychological consequences. Okay, inshallah. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, what is synergy? So next slide, please. The best ever definition of synergy that I come across with, and I've been like brainwashed with, was about 13 years ago when I attended a course in entrepreneurship. So they're talking about synergy is about 1 + 1, which is not equal to 2. You know, there's something there. 1 + 1 can be 100. 1 + 1 can be 1,000 or millions or billions. So that aspect that we're talking about. So by having the balance between our work, by having the balance between work and our life, we hope that 1 + 1 will give some kind of result, which is not 2, which is not 3, which is not 10, but billions more, inshallah. So in Islam, we are talking about the concept of barakah. I think for Malaysian, we are very familiar with the word barakah. It actually comes from an Arabic word. And we're talking about, to me, my humble understanding, synergy has something to do with barakah, well, they translated into English as blessing, but the original word in Arabic of barakah come from the word barakatun. And Arabic is a very rich and a very deep language, you know. It means pond, and for us who come from scientific background, we know when we put our hand in a pond, yeah, the hand looks bigger. Yeah.
Yes.
So we learn in science that, yeah, the refractive index in water is 1.33, whereas in air is only 1. So that's why. So barakah is about, you have an extra thing, you know, you have that extra values of something. So next slide, please. Thank you. So we are talking about what do you call it? The synergy of work-life balance, so that we get the barakah, we get the blessing, we get the extra bit, you know, in terms of our emotional equation, our biopsychosocial. And when we talk about the Islamic perspective later on, we would be also talking about concept of azali, dunyawi, ukhrawi, in trying to balance our work life, you know, activities, because this is a different philosophy from Western perspective. Yeah. And also another perspective, we can talk this work-life balance in terms of health-wise, the physical and mental health. So these are the perspective that we can talk about. Basically, so work-life balance is not we go to work, you come back to home. No, there's a lot of philosophy behind it. And being a mature adult, we should be able to actually see it from a different dimension, because that is what life is all about. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So by the end of the day, whatever perspective, whatever dimension that we are up to, we are talking about us being a functional, being a contributing member of the community. You, me, whoever here, by the end of the day, that is what we're after. So we're talking about in terms of being a contributing member of the community, so that we can uphold the community mission, vision, objective, role, responsibilities, so on and so forth. So be it in whatever area we are, Are we a leader? Are we a manager? Or are we essential worker like me? Or support workers or even investor? So we are talking, that is the ultimate aim that most of us wanting to achieve in this work-life balance, inshallah. Next slide, please. So we talk about synergy just now, and let us talk about life. This is something that I would like to share, because for Muslim, our definition of life is when the soul is being infused in the developing fetus. And in the Quran, many times it talk about the life during the Azali time, you know. And then we talk about life, about the purpose of life, us being here. I'm seeing, of course, now that I'm dealing very much with a different type of culture, with a different type of belief system. And the purpose of life is much different that we have in Malaysia. So inshallah, so maybe when we talk about this work-life balance, we can actually see in our perspective being Malaysian, inshallah. And then life is also about roles and responsibility. You know, when you lead your life, you do have some role, a role as a mother, a role as a student, a role as a lecturer, and our responsibilities. You know, you can't expect to get things without going around and play your roles and fulfill your responsibilities. And also life is about needs and wants, what you need to do and what you want to do. I hope being a young fella like you guys, maybe a lot younger than my younger son, this is about, life is about needs and wants. You may want to do things, but there is what not you needed, you know. So and what one want to be, what do you want to be? Something that you make you feel calm, something that make you feel satisfaction. Yeah, I think in the Quran, you know, all of us are aware the verse towards the end of Surah Al-Fatiha. Allah says to us, "Ya ayyuhatun nafsul mutmainnah." Mutmainnah meaning the soul which is, you know, the calm soul. Yeah, and then the word there, yeah, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. Yeah, you know, go to your Lord in the situation that you satisfied and you being, you know, that Allah accept you. The word mardiyah is about satisfaction. So if you look at the definition that I shared briefly just now, work-life balance is about satisfaction too. And later on we will come inshallah one day to discuss about work-life balance is ability to sacrifice most of our desires, and the reward of that is actually our satisfaction in the life after. Yeah. So we are talking about being Muslim. We're talking about this lifespan, these three lifespan, which is azali, dunyawi, and ukhrawi. Is a very important thing. What really struck me with this concept was about many years ago, I consulted a financial advisor, and he was a very young advisor, and I'm quite surprised in his proposal. He actually forwarded, okay, look, this is investment now. This is your property investment in the next 20 years. This is your investment when you die. They are talking about amal jariyah. They're talking about infaq. And this coming from a professional financial advisor. So to me, being young fella like you guys, inshallah, by the end of the day, if you can come out from this talk having this kind of perspective, that is so much, will make me so very happy. Okay. Now, inshallah, so life is about feeling. We talk about happiness, talking about peaceful, great, and satisfaction. So here are the areas that when you want to talk about life. So we're talking about work-life balance. Work is work, and life is whatever definition that you want to uphold with. Okay. So next slide, please. Thank you. Now, so we have done a little bit about some perspective of the work-life balance. We've done the meaning of synergy. We discussed about Morocco. let's have a look on other objective of tonight's talk. Yeah. Okay. Next
Sure,
slide,
Doctor.
please. Now we've discussed this. Okay, we've discussed this Surah Al-Ra'd, verse 172. The meaning of which and mentioned when your Lord took from the children of Adam, from their loins, their descendants, and made them testify of themselves. And Allah asks us, Alastu bi Rabbikum? Am I not your Lord? And we say, during the time when we are not present on this world, that Qalu bala shahidna. We said, yes, we have testified. So somewhere deep inside us, somewhere in our soul, somewhere in our heart, in our chest, that we have testified that Allah SWT is our Lord. And being that we surrender to Him and He has prescribed us a way of life. So being a practicing Muslim, for me, this is where I'm coming from when we talk about work-life balance. And this is what I would like to share with you guys, inshallah. Next slide, please. So when we talk about dunyawi and ukhrawi, I think this is a very beautiful verse in the Quran. وابتغ فيما آتاك الله الدار الآخرة ولا تنسى نصيبك من الدنيا وأحسن كما أحسن الله إليك. This part is so deep to me. It says, وأحسن كما أحسن الله إليك. It's a very beautiful verse in the Quran. It's a very beautiful phrase in the Quran. It says that, and do good to others as Allah has done good to you. So being employer, we have to keep reminding ourselves like this. And being an employee, we have to remember this too. You know, with all the blessing that Allah has given us, we should try and be nice to everyone because He is so nice to us. And Allah said not only that, you know, وَلَا تَبْغِي الْفَسَادَ, you know, do not seek to make mischief. فِي الْأَرْضِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُفْسِدِينَ. And Allah do not love the mischief makers. Okay, next slide, please. So in that perspective, work-life balance has to come, you know, being ihsan, try to do the best, being an employer, being employee. That is our task. Another concept that I would like to share is the concept of falah. I mean, all of us, we know the azan, hayya al falah, hayya al falah. I've been taught that the falah and faiz are not the same thing in Arabic. Falah, or even though means victory for both, but falah has the connotation of continuity of hereafter, you know. So when we look at work-life balance, when we actually design our day-to-day activities, we actually plan our day, how long we're going to be at work, how long we're going to spend remembering Allah, you know, how long we're going to spend to serve our role as a very, you know, a good person, a mother, a daughter, a son, a grandchild or grandmother now. So we're talking about that. So we're talking about the hereafter in that perspective. Yeah. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Now, so we've done that. We've done all of that. We've done all the meaning of synergy, barakah, and stuff. Let's go further. Next slide, please. So we've discussed this again. I'm just going to reinforce. So we're putting those construct together. We're putting our role, which is an A, our life, which is the B. So we got that falah. We got that work-life balance. And this role and this life, it has to be balanced, you know, work and life has to be balanced, but we need to get that, the barakah there. And of course, being Muslim, all of us are aware with the first hadith of Matan Arba'in, innamal a'malu binniyat. If we don't, you know, set the intention right from the beginning of us serving our work in the morning when we start our work for the sake of Allah SWT, that we want to do the best. For the sake of Allah, we want to do the best for this talk. For the sake of Allah, we want to do the best, you know, to share this idea with the people out there. We wouldn't get it as an ibadah. It's just a routine, you know. So we need to remember that, inshallah. Okay, next slide, please. So one of the example in the Western world, people talk about this WLB, which is work-life balance. They talk about, oh, this is just an example of a company. I just throw the idea so that, you know, remember this is a perspective, one perspective. We can add more. We don't have to be 100% like, you know, just follow. We can be more creative. We can add more, you know, just like you make the cake, you bake the cake, you can design your own cake. You know, you can add more sultanas, or you can just change the sultanas with bananas, so on and so forth. Okay, next slide, please.
Yes.
So this is just the basic cake. So one of the is provide flexi hours. This was written ages ago before this pandemic time, but it talks about flexi hours. So here we are, we're doing flexi hours. Okay, we're doing 11 p.m. talk show. Now, allow employees to work from home, less rigid lunch schedule, provide laptops, equipment to make working from anywhere possible. MashaAllah, it's just like a self-made prophecy. People have been talking about it years ago, and now we have to do it, you know?
Now we are experiencing it.
It's very ironic.
MashaAllah. So, wow, okay. Somebody told me last time when I was involved in curriculum design, when I was still lecturing, we had a discussion about designing curriculum. One of a very insightful colleagues say we should design a curriculum to prepare the generation. No, it was not during the curriculum design. It was actually from one of the research that I did. We're looking about training the GPs in Malaysia and training medical students with family medicine. So we're talking about the curriculum that we have now. It's not for now, it's actually for future. So we need to come with a perspective to actually produce our younger generation, so that whatever we're preparing now, we need to have the mindset of that. So sometimes it's difficult because the person who does that are actually from the past or from present, and we're talking about future. Allahu Alam, but that kind of thing. So here we're talking about future, you know. Have a conducive office setup, encourage social activities because that will create more bonding and social support. You know, team building exercises that also come with the same tone, same theme. Workplace volunteering, offer perks, have an open door policy. I mean, this, as I say, this is more a human resource topic, but of course, with my, you know, since I've been invited, I just need to talk about it. You know, it's not my forte 100%, but yes, inshallah. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, so I'm talking about redefining norms. We don't have to define work-life balance as what other people define. For Malaysian, the term that, sorry to use here, the Westerners define, we can actually edit a bit from our perspective, okay? And we can debate that, you know. Allahu Alam, I am always with that understanding that when we nurture our children, when we nurture our future generation, we should be able to nurture them with critical and creative minds. So rather than just absorb and swallow, you know, what we want them to swallow, but we should allow them to be critical of what we're telling them. So we need to, Allahu Alam, if you feel for future, you need to redefine norms, by all means do that, you know. So work, what type of work? Is it work just with the work and now we have office in this room that I'm now is my office in my house, you know. So it's an office. So what is office, you know? Does domestic chores considered as work? Don't we say work-life balance has something to do with that? And whose role is that? It's just the male counterpart or the female counterpart of the members? And Allah Alam. Now, on life, whose lives? Is the worker life, employer life, the offspring life? So those are the perspective. Allah Alam, to me, when you say something, if you are given something, you don't have to define life, work-life balance. It's just about your life. How about your children's life in that? You know, and female employees. How about fathers who only have 3 days leave or paternal leave? Don't they have to wake up middle of the night to look after the the babies? You know, and then how do we balance that? So maybe at some stage when we talk about work-life balance now and in the future, we need to redefine the norms. Who knows? Okay, next slide, please. Now, so work-life balance is being taught to be very loose and a very broad term. It's up to you what you want to choose. But as in many things, when we collaborate with someone or something with your employer or your employee, there need to be a set of agreed or grounded rules. You know, when you go, inshallah, when you start joining big companies, they call terms and condition. You know, for you to collaborate and serve the company. In Australia right now, like the position that I'm having, we don't talk employer and employee relationship. We are more collaborating. So we are contractors. We are contractors to a company, for example, that we serve. So they treat us as an independent body. So does my husband. So with the company that he's contributing and sharing his expertise, we are contractors. So it gives a different type of work-life balance relationship. Maybe that will be the future in Malaysia too, rather than employer-employee system.
Inshallah,
That's something
maybe.
your future generation would like, you know, because you're the boss. But there are certain, you know, that you remember what you call it, the van, Gambar Raja van, you know, the area that
The Venn diagram.
area.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, Venn diagram, yes.
yeah, there's an overlapping area. That's the one that you share. There are area other thing, and you don't have to just be committed just with one fella. You can just share it elsewhere. So it allows creativity, but of course, with an extra responsibilities there. Allah Allah. So here we're talking about employers ensuring that the work environment is positive and support employees. So that by the end of the day, the employees will be productive in the organization that in turn contribute to the community. Next slide, please. So some experts in this area, they're talking about it's just a metaphor or a skill so that we can actually put everything in, I don't know, the usual scale that we have in our mind. It's just that scale with 2 arms. So maybe you have multiple arms, so that like octopus, so that the head of octopus is right in the center. So that is all about work-life balance, and you can decide how many arms you're gonna have. You know, how many tasks, how many roles, how many responsibilities, so on and so forth. But you decide based on what you need and what you want, as we discuss further. So when that happened, it deals with the allocation of time and energy that fit our values and needs. So, but it has to be a conscious choices. But in many instances, Allahu Alam, I hope in Malaysia has changed now. We are made to comply with certain circumstances being employee.
Yes.
So Whereas in modern, more advanced ways, a little bit more flexible. Allahu Alam. Now, I've been employed for only 3 years while I was in Malaysia. The rest of my services are all being self-employed and also employing other people. So, well, yes. Deep inside us, we have our values, and how we actually appreciate that. How do we address to that? How do we honor that in serving and trying to achieve this work-life balance? You know, some people say it's easier to become a self-employed person. It's not. It's not necessarily like that. So I remember dealing one mental health case. One of my patients actually said, all this while she thought that working from home gonna be the greatest blessing in her life. But after trying for less than 2 years, it's actually a major mistake. It's to her, you know. So it's about how we actually control. For example, some of the work stress, how do we actually get the skill of being able to actually demarcate, you know, like, okay, I'm just going to think about work from 9 to 5. And then after that, I'll do housework. I'll go to the kitchen and cook. But so, you know, the phone keep ringing, the text, you know, the order keep coming, and you're self-employed, no work, no money, man. You know, how do you actually able to put that in different envelope, you know? So those are the skills, and that's where this particular person that I've met in the past, the life gone haywire, and we have to jumpstart a bit, you know? Allahu Alam. Next slide, please. Now, when come to work-life balance, we are talking about the employee, I mean, the employer-employee scenario. We're not talking about collaborating between contractor and contractee. We should see employees as not as like a machine. You know, they just work.
Yeah,
you know,
yes.
it's not just to serve the employer's economy ends. You do this, I want this, you know. It's not that. Humans are not robots, you know. And their skill, talent, and energies are not overused and overly depleted. One cannot become creative if they are
There's too many loads.
Overused.
fatigue. Yeah.
Too much
In order
fatigue
to
and
become
everything.
creative, yes, they have to be lively, you know. But if you just like, you know, you just slave them, so that is not right. So people do have what you call it, work fatigue, exhaustion, and stuff. So
Yes,
burnout
yes.
is the term that people use, especially in this pandemic time. How
Oh my
much?
God.
Yes, in some countries, it's illegal to actually tax a worker after hours, you know. But I don't think that happened in Malaysia. I used to work with one superior who texted me 3 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m.
Apparently
Well,
in Malaysia not.
yes, so maybe something that you future generation have to generate, but there's also some setback to that. We can say on our side, I'm not going to tax you 9 to 5, but how many of us who does the right thing between 9 to 5? You know, sorry, now remind me. I actually I did from 2008 to 2014. I was a part-time lecturer. That was when I employed too. I forgot. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking. Now, so we are talking about 9 to 5 job. How many of us didn't turn up? You know, now we have these working from home. How many of us are still cooking lunch? What, at 11 a.m. are we supposed to do our work stuff? I mean, it's all about ihsan. Ihsan is about doing the right thing. And there's another meaning of ihsan, that you feel that Allah is looking at you. If you're not looking at him, he's looking at you, you know. You will be asked, we will be asked every single second of our deed, our action, our words before him, inshallah, one day. So next slide, please. So food for thoughts, you know. So we can only do to perform the best. We need to be creative and innovative and flourish, because we're not robots, basically. There was one study, they actually looking at the counter services. I think they look at McDonald's and other stuff. There are some differences. You go and take your order from a robot than a person who give you a smile. You know, there's emotional quotient to it. Okay, Allah Alam. Just so sustainable. We're talking about sustainable. Sustainable is the term that people use nowadays. Sustainable, you know, agriculture, sustainable energy, so sustainable human resource management. Okay, next slide, please. Now, again, we discussed that, but let's have a look into the biopsychosocial perspective. Yeah, being a family medicine specialist, biopsychosocial is the word. When we treat our patient, we're just not taking the biological aspect of it. We look into the psychological aspect, the social aspect as well. So next slide, please. So when we talk about work-life balance, another perspective, we're just looking at the physical health. We're looking at the disease prevention, how much in the workplace we talk about, you know, this ergonomic thing, this occupational design, you know, this ergonomic design at work, so that people won't suffer shoulder pain, back pain, kind of stuff. So this is all work-life balance, okay? So we're also talking about livelihood activities at workplace. How many company that allow people to take out a bit of their time to do the prayer? On the same note, if we spend extra 45 minutes using our Zohor and Asar, how many of us actually replace that 45 minutes to our employer? We're always talking about our employer responsibilities. We don't think our responsibilities, you know. That is something that Allah will ask us. And Allah says in Surah Al-Saf, you know, why do you talk about something which you do not do yourself, you know? Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So we're talking about not just health. It's not just about being human, but how do we collaborate with others, the humans, the environment. So we're talking about that kind of health. So this is more, it actually widened the horizon, yeah, so that when we talk about health, we're just not talking about a person, you know, we're talking about the whole bunch of things, how we interact with the environment, the animal, the plants, the trees. I like the slides that you guys have helped me with. You see, you got so many flowers and you know, and plants.
We're trying to make it lively.
Yes, I just, yeah, it's lovely, not just lively, it's lovely.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Now, so those are the things that we perspective when we talk about work-life balance. Okay, next slide, please. Now, let's go to the last objective. When we talk about balance, you know, there's so many, not verses. I think I did get them to change. It's the science of Kauniyah. It's not ayat Kauniyah. It's translated to English. It's become verses. It's not that ayat. Ayat in Arabic also means signs. So the sign, the universal sign, you know, in the universe that Allah has made us to actually think. And once we see it as something fixed and regulated, we feel so humbled by that in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Newton law, the law of gravity, and then there are so many things that how Allah has fixed it. And Allah says that most of his ayat kauniyah won't change, not most, all of them, yeah, won't actually change. So in Chinese culture, they talk about yin and yang, and then in
Yes.
Hinduism, I think they talk about linga and yoni and stuff. So
Yep.
so for us, it has to be balanced. So having said that, when we talk work-life balance, for example, we talk about exercise, right? The exercise needed for youngsters like you guys is different than the exercise that I need being in Malaysia. They say retirement age. In Australia, no way, we haven't retired yet.
Still young, don't worry, doctor, you're still young.
So we're talking about that, okay, inshallah. Now, next slide, please. So the philosophy that we shared just now, the 11 strategies, it talk about another term, we call it wasatiyah. Wasatiyah is the balance in Arabic, but some people define it as being moderate, which to me is not the correct term. So it's about getting things in harmony. You know, it's about yin and yang. It's about getting everything nicely balanced. Okay, so it's about physical and mental well-being. Keep going, and then we get something which is much more full of blessed kind of stuff. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's go into this. So wasatiyah, as I mentioned, is about getting the right thing at the right time. Everything is balanced. It's about making teh tarik, milk tea. You have to put a little bit, not a little bit, this amount of milk, this amount of sugar, this amount of tea. So you get a nice, relatively, subjectively to people. So that is about wasatiyah, what that people like, what that person love, or what that person has enjoyed in the past might not be the same as what I like. This fella likes sugar, this fella doesn't like sugar, so on and so forth. So we are talking about this, and then it's about past, present, and future. So we had talked about that. We're talking about how do we integrate in our life balance, the spiritual aspect, the interpretation of life events, qada and qadar, which in life, in order to fight anxiety, in order to prepare ourselves as a Muslim to fight this anxiety, need to fully be understood about qada and qadar. I find when I've been counseling people, when they come with anxiety, is so much different than what I used to counsel people in Malaysia, because they don't have this concept. They don't have the concept of belief in the hereafter, most of them. So justice is up to this full stop. Once you got Sakatul Maut, there's no justice. For us, is go far and beyond that until the hereafter. So if you're, for example, you think that you have to work so hard at work, and then you forgot about your role to your parents, and that is something your parents might not say anything, but in hereafter we are answerable to that, or this kind of stuff. So work-life balance, we need to, is a culture that we have to consider, put all the ingredients of the recipe together based on our background. And yeah, next slide, please. Thank you. And then by having this balanced person or balanced community, then we can serve ourselves to be the witness of other people. Meaning to say, other nation, a Muslim Ummah should come forward. We should have this strength of ability to balance our work and life and achieve falah, the victory. And being successful, we should be the leader, the role model to other people. A lot of us thought, of course, the life is full of tribulation, and it doesn't mean that we have to live our life sad. Doesn't mean we have to live our life poor. Whatever satisfies you to serve the three functions of humankind, the purpose of our life being Muslim, to serve Allah, and then to be the next slide. I think we're gonna, before I just proceed, jump to the next slide, please. Thank you. And we actually we have multiple functions. We'll come to that slide. This is not the slide, but later on. Okay. So what is we're gonna talk about in your life? You need to explore that. You know, you need to explore that. We go back one slide behind just now. Can we go back? We're talking about, yeah. So we need to actually get our goals right. What we need, what we want. Now, like you do some research, what you want to achieve, what are the expectation of your life journey, you know, and then ask the stakeholder, your husband, your life partner, your parents, you know, what is expected from me, for example, and then design your life and create this work-life balance, because each and one of us, every one of us is different, you know. Next slide, please. Okay. So when we talk about balance, there's no ghulu, mean extreme, you know, in whatever way that we lead our life, be it our way of thinking, be it anything, you know, we need to strike the balance, you know. We do not go overboard. For example, if you want to achieve health in that certain definition, I've seen people coming with a heart failure from exercising too much, whereas we ask people to exercise every day, but I've seen people come with heart failure. This fella actually jog 25 kilometers a day.
That's too
It's
much.
not that. Allah Allah. Okay, we continue. This is an extrovert. I've encountered that kind of patients in the past. Next slide, please. Okay. So we are talking about being balanced. There are certain features. For example, balance that we have to be fair, we don't cheat, and then we weigh stuff. As I said, if you take 40 minutes of your employer time to do your prayer, not your designated lunchtime, then we have to pay back, you know. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. And it has to be suitable, not burdening with one ability, so that someone can perform. All of us come with different capacity and different potentials, and a good employer should be able to see that and put the responsibility and role based on personality and the job. Nowadays, a lot of people, when they go for this job interview, they have this personality assessment or something like that. Okay, so inshallah,
Yes,
and then it has to be at certain part of it has to be you know, appropriate. There are certain time we need to strengthen certain part. There are certain part that we, as an employer, for example, maybe this staff came in without certain skills, so we need to train that certain skill. Just like our Prophet in the beginning of Islam, he actually trained us, trained the Muslim in the beginning about Aqidah first, before they can embark into the journey of conveying Islam to other people, you know. And then remember this hadith when the companion asked alayhi salam, and he lead the prayer for too long, and Prophet salam said, cut it down, because your ma'mum, your follower are from, you know, from small children and women and kind of stuff, and weak people. So, you know, so we need to strike that balance, you know. And it's not just spiritual aspect, it has to be physical, but not to exercise 25 kilometers a day. Okay, next slide again. Okay. And then it has to be insightful. We're talking about long-term and short-term. Sometimes we need to persevere with hardship. If, for example, in the first, I did ask in one of our training to my mentor, I said, how long shall we persevere? Because I've been trained not to work for people. I'm so sorry. I've been trained to work for myself, and then And then I did ask them. So, because in some of the talk, they say you work for people. They say you work for people to learn. You need to find a mentor that might take 2 years, 5 years. And after that, go on your own, you know. It's probably a bit biased because I've been asked to give a talk, for example, work-life balance by an employer. I'm suggesting to the employees after 5 years, you say bye-bye. No, I'm not suggesting that, you know. So it's about long-term, how, that's why sometimes we have to persevere and we have to understand that it's sunnatullah that we can't have everything in life, you know. It's just the ayat account. Yeah, that's how things works in this world. You can't have everything, you know. It's either you take this, you can lose that, you know. So just learn how to live like that, you know.
It's like compromising, right?
Yes, I wouldn't use the word compromising though. I love to use the word compromising, meaning you have to sacrifice part of yours. Yeah, if you talk about Shazwani, if you talk about compromising in terms of in a learning process, that's fine. But if you talk about it's not compromising, even that, because that learning is an investment.
Yes,
You get
yes,
me?
totally.
Yes,
Yes.
You are sacrificing or compromising or whatever because it is part of your learning. You're gaining wealth there, you know, you're gaining lots of experiences, which is the tool to make you a better you in future. Allahu Alam. So now, when we talk about balance, we're talking about being just so that we can istiqamah, we can continue performing in the best ability of ourselves. Next slide, please. Thank you. And about fairness, and then again, this fairness is a bit limited when we talk about wasatiyah in Islam, balance in Islam. Fairness is different because who judge, who give the values of fairness? Because being Muslim, we are Rabbaniyun, meaning we are godly people. Our values is based on the values instilled on us based from the Quran and Sunnah, which is being revealed through Prophet Muhammad SAW. It's a godly perspective in life. But inshallah, in future, you'll come across people who do not have, who never learn, who never know about that. So for us being Muslim, what is fair? So for example, gender reassignment, people will say, this is fair. But for us being godly, this is a no-no, you know? And then being fair, because our parents, our beloved mom and dad has sacrificed everything for us. If we consider about being fair, some people worship their own parents, but not in Islam. We worship Allah. So the fairness is only the right of Allah SWT. That is what Shaykh Yusuf Qadawi actually mentioned. So balance, when you try to be fair, when, you know, sometimes there's an office conflict. How do you be fair? Are you going to be fair to an employee who is related to you, or who is your best friend, or another employee who is, you just know them for 2 days or 3 days? So that is how fairness come about in work-life balance. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Right, and then being able for anything to be long-lasting in work and in life is about ability to do it constantly. This is a very, very, very beautiful hadith, and it's sahih, you know. It's about the most beloved deeds to God are the most permanent, even they are small. Even the tiny bit, you know, you don't have to sedekah 1 million in one shot, just $1 a day, you know, that kind of stuff. Okay, next slide. And you don't have to suddenly become like a manic phase, happy every day at work. But you can just be nice and calm and just smile to everybody, you know. That's it. That will do. And then the ability to carry on is all about what I've been talking about. This is a wasatiyah, balance in the perspective of Islam, yeah. And we're trying to put in our professionalism when we work in future. So new broom sweeps clean, the old brooms doesn't. Okay, next page, please. So this work-life balance is a cycle. It's not something that comes like that, full stop. It undergo this cycle. In management, we talk about this planned PDCA cycle. Yeah. So we do, we check and act. So when we do something, we actually, I think among us in Malaysia, we are so familiar the term muhasabah or reflection. So we
Yes,
reflect.
yes.
That is check, that's what I mean. You know, and then you act on it and plan another round. And that's how we improvise, you know. So work-life balance is all about that. It's about try and error. If it doesn't work for us, we adjust a bit, get more proper solutions, and then we proceed more, you know. So it's about a cycle. It's not like something doesn't change. It's like a snowballing. It has a snowballing effect. So whatever rough stuff you don't want, you just get rid of it and you keep moving. You know. Another way is just like when you know the word that we use here, when you uli koi, you know, you just round, you just pick up whatever tepung that you like. Okay, continue. Sorry, I'm using Malay. Continue.
It's okay, it's okay.
Hey, don't you speak Malay, but I want to
No,
do
it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, we continue next slide, please. Thank you. Won't be long. I think we're about to finish. Am I right? Now,
Yeah.
the application here is actually we prepare for the hereafter, the verse that we shared just now. Yeah. We work towards the hereafter, but do not forget about our life now in these worldly matters. And doing that, we have to be nice, just like how Allah has been nice to us. Okay. Now, next slide. Now, this is our role that we're talking about. What you call it? We need to isti'mar. We need to look after the planet Earth, not just the planet, of course, including environment, the plants, the animals, you know, kind of stuff. So that is one of our role in our work-life balance. You know, we have to be gentle, and that is the role as a khilafah, as the vicegerents on this planet, inshallah. Next slide, please. Thank you. And then, for example, this was actually from other slide, how between us and other society, other community, we have to be nice, you know. We have to be nice to everybody. And
doesn't
then,
matter the religion, the race, and everything.
Exactly.
Just be nice to anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things. We have to understand some historical aspect of Malaysia and other stuff. Okay. Now, when we talk about balance, there would be some people get a little bit anguished with the term pious and martyrdom, jihad and shaheed.
Take it to the extreme.
Yeah. So we don't go, you know, we are talking about jihad to us. It's about striving. It's about being to strive for the best. That is when we come about how much we actually sacrifice, persevere a lot of stuff in order to achieve something which is much better in future. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So inshallah, balance is about our needs, the value that we upheld, the quality that we want, and how much energy and time that we are willing to put into. And then next slide, please. And I'm not sure whether we're going to go into the questions. Maybe we just go with the question for tonight. This is just the 5 questions in the past. Shall I pass back to you guys, inshallah?
So we're not going towards the 5 questions at the end just now?
Do you guys think it's relevant to you guys?
We still have.
Or you have any more questions? Shall we address the question first from the? Do you have any question from the participants?
Let's just start. Yes, we do. So let's just start with the question from the audiences and our participant in WebEx then. Is it okay with you, Doctor?
Yeah.
If you guys have any burning questions, you can unmute the mic and ask away.
In WebEx, yeah.
Yes, in the WebEx.
So anyone? So if anyone doesn't have anyone in the WebEx doesn't have any question, I shall proceed to the question that we've gathered from the YouTube. All right. Okay. So Doctor, so I have the first question here. Hold on a second. Okay, the first question is by Hamzah Uzari. The question will be: some people say work-life integration is more realistic versus work-life balance. What is your take on this, Doctor?
Work-life, sorry, what, darling? I didn't hear you.
Work-life? Some people say work-life integration is more realistic versus work-life balance. So he's asking about what is your take on this?
Obviously, I don't come from that background. In fact, as I said, this topic is more about it's a human resource topic. But if you're talking about work-life integration, we're talking about the concept of integration concept. Yeah, work-life balance is about work-life integration. It's just you need to balance them. When something integrate, you need to have a certain proportion of a nice proportion of everything, just like making the teh tarik. That's what I understand. I'm not a human resource person to go that in depth, but to me, even if you're talking about integration, we need to talk about having everything in a nicely manner. I mean, how much work in your 24 hours, how much work life in your 24 hours of the day or in a year kind of stuff. So then again, you just integrate. But yeah, what proportion? This is what we are talking about. Is the micro environment of that work-life integration. We are human. We can actually, unless we're not working, even investing is also to me is still work. Allah. I'm sure I'm not answering the question well, but I got no idea other than that. To be honest, okay.
It's okay, Doctor.
All right, let's proceed. The next question.
All right, the next question is by Caitlin Liu. We have a question from the YouTube people. There is a need to have a work-life balance. 9 to 5 timing should still be applicable. Sadly, in the pandemic situation, many people think that since you're working from home, they can be contacted at all odd hours. What do you think about this, Doctor?
Allahu Alam, to me is a major wrong. If it's not a major wrong, it's a major wrong.
Yes, definitely.
I don't believe to be productive. I actually would say I am a productive person, but I don't work beyond my designated hours.
I see.
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to be. You don't have to work. Oh, if I can use the word, you don't have to work hard. You have to work smart.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. Yes.
I mean, for those who actually encroach into others' life, be it employer or usually the big boss doesn't mind. It's just the manager, the supervisor bit, who tend to me, this is my past experience, which to me is a major wrong. That's not the way to do it. It doesn't mean you are efficient to do that. I totally disagree.
It's also a bit unprofessional, is it, to contact you outside of your work hours?
Yes. Alhamdulillah, just to mention, we don't have it here. You should.
That's great,
In
doctor. We would love to have that
Australia,
here.
in Australia, is a no. You don't contact anybody after, you know. Even for example, this is my, you know, if you know someone outside your work and later that someone is your patient, they don't use your personal number for anything related to as a patient. That kind of professionalism, you know, like a doctor here, we can't take, even if your friend in the computer system, we can't take the details in our medical whatever records. No, it's against. Everything has to be professional. If it's 9 to 5, it's 9 to 5. Shall something happen? For example, the place that I'm serving, it opens at 7 a.m. in the morning. It only opened the door to patient to come in at 7 a.m. Shall there be anything? I got a patient. No, can you ask them to open the door so that we can come in too, because it's very chilly outside?
The typical
The
Karens.
manager said, no, it's only 7. They can stay in the car. They can wear thick clothing. Well, because no, it's a no, full stop, you know.
Maybe on my opinion, maybe because the culture of Asian culture working is quite still hasn't revolved in a healthy kind of way. I can say maybe.
Maybe what I see is all stem to the understanding, our understanding about give and take. So if I can give you this, so you can take, you know, what is rule, you know. It's about cutting corners. Ala, okay lah, kasih chan lah, that kind of stuff, you know. Like, if I can do this, you can do that. No, it all has to go into terms and condition. That is something that we have to train, we have to inculcate, we have to nurture our future generation. You know, but working 9 to 5 sometimes might not suits everybody. You know, I don't work 9 to 5. I work flexi hours, but I stick to my flexi hours. There's one instances that I suppose when I first came to Australia many years ago, not so many years ago, my son has to walk to school. It was a new school, and I start working at 7. And because he was so new, he walked with a headphone across the road. He's not familiar. He didn't hear the, you know, to cross the road. He didn't hear the sound to cross, and a car almost hit him. You know what my manager said the next day? Change your hours. Only come to work after you have sent your son to school. Drive him to school. And he's how old was he? He's already 16 years old. So that kind of flexi hours. So thereafter, I start at 10. I finish about 8 hours so that I can do my house chores. I can send my son to school, and you know, until I got someone to send him over. So that kind of flexibility that people have. So 9 to 5. So here what we have, our agreement is the hours of working per week. So you choose your hour that suits you. Like if you want to avoid the traffic jam, the school traffic, you can work before or after, that kind of stuff. You're more productive this way, you know, you save fuel and stuff. Allah, that mentality is coming, inshallah, in Malaysia.
I hope so. We hope so soon. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, but the same on the same token, if that is your designated working hours, work through that. We have a lot of people, they want that designated hours, but they don't really do the working on that. That is something that, you know, we have to me, being productive is to be honest and yeah, is you answerable to God the time that you spend that you're being paid. Allahu Alam. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you, Doctor. So the next question will be by Afifa. So, Doctor, what is your take on employers not understanding a burnout of the employee? Like you said, texting or calling after work hours in this pandemic.
Allah, there need to be a lot of changes. It's difficult to change just the icing. We have to change the recipe as well to make the cake taste nicer. If we can't do it now, maybe in future. There are also roles of authority. We do have our labor law. Maybe you want to look into that. I don't think there's anything in the labor law stated in Malaysia. At least when I left Malaysia about 6 years ago, I don't think. I used to read the labor law book, the yellow book from cover to cover because I employed people. And there's a lot of things too, because how much does that labor law apply to private companies and public companies? So there's a lot of things. It needs a lot of not only authority, but political goodwill to make a change there. There's a lot of things.
Yes.
It's just like having another independent kind of hard work that our ancestor 60, 70 years ago sit down and come up with some solution that need to be revived to me, for this current or future generation. It need to be like that PDCA cycle, we need to edit a bit.
Trial and error.
Because life is
understand.
different. Yeah. Allahu Alam. Okay.
All right. So the next question, Haikal.
Yes, this is by Nashrul. He said, Doctor, is it normal if we think of quitting our job because we couldn't handle the amount of stress that we face in this pandemic? Financially, emotionally, and physically. Plus, the pressure that we get from working from home and just everything. How do we overcome that feeling?
Oh God, Allahu Alam.
That is emotionally.
It's about stress management, yeah. I can feel them. It's a bit overwhelmed. Sometimes we see things differently at different time. If we are under stress and overwhelmed, we see it differently. It's the ability to see things and solve problems in a very objective way. Maybe get opinion from other people before resorting into major changes in life. Like, it's stressful working from home. It's stressful also to work, being contacted after hours, and you don't have that satisfaction. But what options do we have? Work is so scarce now. It's quite difficult whether we're gonna persevere.
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe talking to the employer will help. It's about setting the about the grand rule. This is what we want to achieve. This is what I can offer, and this is what you're willing to pay, kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of communication that can be needed to be done, and it all falls back into communications. For example, if you have mental health problem related to work, talk to a professional that can help how to deal with that. Like counselor or psychologists, or I'm not sure, maybe doctors. In Australia, doctors are trained to handle mental health of the patient, but I'm not sure in Malaysia. I'm sure it has improved. Not the last time I was there though. So yeah, and then communication between employer. I just share one story. I actually injured my shoulder for some reason, and then I was quite sick, not being able to perform. So very easy. I actually contacted, of course, I'm a contractor. I contacted the company that I'm serving for. I said, I need to change the timing. And they give me my timing that I need to recover, So that kind of stuff. Because to me, it's all about communication and being very objective, because this is what I can perform, this is what I can share. But I'm not sure in Malaysia, we have that kind of, firstly, attitude between employers and employees. Things need to change somehow. And in order for the change to happen, as I said, it needs a little bit of so many type of goodwill to be able to do it. Allahu Alam.
So thank you, Doctor, because in terms of seeking for help for therapists or doctors or psychologists in Malaysia, they slowly recognize people nowadays, especially I saw on social media that people start to give it a wider view upon this matter. It is not wrong to seek for help. So I guess in that context, we started to view it positively instead of negatively.
Yep, that's good. That's good. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So the next question will be, during this pandemic, there are hundreds of news of people committing suicide due to stress of not having work or unable to balance a healthy work culture. So what is your point of view on Malaysia's law that put people in jail for trying to commit suicide? Do you think we should change the law in the future? The law should be changed in the future.
Astaghfirullahaladzim. Okay, first
Very
of all, we
big
have to
question, I
understand.
guess.
Yeah, we have to understand that Malaysian law actually stems from lots of historical factors. So there are two types of laws in Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken. One is the civil law, one is the family law. So the family law basically come from our Islamic Sharia thing, plus the civil law, what do you call it? It stems from our British,
Yes.
foster parents, ex-foster parents. Yeah. So
way back before.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Even with the British thing, it actually comes from the more of the Christianity set of belief, and so does the Islamic one. More or less the same. All of it is a godly kind of thing. Suicide to us, being a medical practitioner and being Muslims, to me is actually a condition, just like a body gone into shutdown when they got overwhelming sepsis from infection. It's just, if you see the physical part of us, if somebody got infection, blood poison from germs, it get into the blood. If the body couldn't cope, it just shut down. Same thing. If the flow of thought, that's what I said, qadar and qadar, the spiritual aspect to interpret life events, is not being polished right from the beginning. As we grow, the way we interpret things matters. How do we take stress? It's about processing stress, Stress, I always tell my patients, we being human, we need stress, but we have what we call the big black box that process it, and then outside the, so it comes in that machine, the big black box, and then you have output. How we actually process that stress is the one that decide what the consequence, the result, the output of it. And that ability to process stresses is a learned behavior. When we say learned behavior, it's something that we pick up from the past. If it is something acute, meaning to say it just knew that particular person might just need support, so there's a different way to support them. Maybe as simple as what we call cognitive behavioral therapy. You just give them ideas and support, and not give them ideas, but let them identify and move on. I'm not sure putting people behind bar actually helped, but they need help, full stop, some other help. There's a lot, we need to have lots of people being able to befriend our stressed out, burnt out people. It's not enough by saying, you know, if you kill yourself, you're not gonna enter Jannah. When people get depressed, that big black box got messed up. They can't even rationalize that.
Yes.
So I always say to patient, if you can't go with this simple trying to get things in perspective, we can just jumpstart you. When I say jumpstart, we give you medication.
Understand.
Yeah, so sometimes in worst case scenario, normally being doctors, if people come presented to you with the mental stress, we normally identify the red flags. Do they have any suicidal thoughts? How bad is the thought intrusion? Any self-harming? Any risk factor that make the judgment go haywire? Like, are they on drugs? Do they actually drink and stuff? So if it's so messy, and do they have a good insight? So normally, if they're suicidal, we do send them somewhere, but not to jail. We send them to hospital, so that they will be treated in a mental ward, and they will be
that's a better
jumpstart with
solution
medication.
for Malaysia instead of sending
Yeah,
them.
I think the mental health service need to be, you know, kind of come in, show their function, that their function is not only for mad people, because our mental health in Malaysia, when we say mental health, people would think you're already psychotic.
It's crazy, yes.
Yes. So you don't have to be labeled mental health. Is the term has a lot of stigma. That word mental, people will say, "Oh, you're mental," meaning you're psycho. Not really, you know. Mental means about, I don't know. Back in the days, we have these three quotient, which is mind, your soul, and your physical. You know, so the mind and soul is the one that we need to. It's a challenge. That's the one, the psyche of it, that we need to get people know. Even now, we should start campaigning. Look, guys, as we have this part of ourselves and our mind and soul, this is how we react to things, you know. So because this mind or inside or this psyche, if we get we call it not depressed, is being pressed so hard, it gets suffocated, it can't rationalize things. So normally being doctors, we actually sift through and see how urgent, whether we can manage them at home or we shall manage them in hospital, but never ever we send them behind bar as a criminal, Allahu Alam, and I don't think it's the right thing. Allahu Alam.
We don't think it either. So thank
Are
you,
really
Dr.
sending people behind bar?
Yeah, there are news about that.
It's
They are
I
news.
know that it's illegal to kill ourselves by law in Malaysia.
Yes.
But
It is.
But maybe we need to use the heart at times and the head at times. Heart and head. You use your heart, being compassion. I mean, you know, being rahmah to people rather than go by the book, you know. You want to kill yourself, what is that? It doesn't sound civilized to me. Allahu Alam, might be cruel, my statement. Okay.
All right. Okay.
I'll move on to the
Yeah,
next
but
question.
yes, please.
Okay. Now this one is a simple one. Most employees and students are now experiencing burnout from work or studying. Can you give any tips for the people who are experiencing burnout?
Especially for students.
To me, make sure you have days off. We're not robot. Switch off, because you feel refreshed after that. Even a simple thing like computers, you need to switch it off so that whatever information can go and get packed into its appropriate file, you know. So have a break. I strongly believe, I don't know, I'm one of those actually believe you just need to work 3.5 days a week. I don't know, but other.
We'll try your views. Let's see how.
But yeah, and then being able to, there's one concept, we call it mindfulness. Mindfulness is about dealing with the time now, so that when I talk to you, I focus to you, you know, my mind doesn't wanders around. And mindfulness also to me means that we need to dedicate time, like weekends you just enjoy the environment, enjoy time with your family, you know, enjoy gardening if that's your hobby. If you do music, that's when you do music. If you do some, that is your mindfulness, so that you take a break, so your muscle and your energy doesn't do whatever they usually do. Give it a break so that it can actually replenish. Make sure have a good sleep. Avoid doing stuff that will, you know, because that's where we refresh ourselves. And Allah Alam, on the same matter, to me, I find one of the best ever ni'mat or blessing from Allah SWT is for us to pray, because khusyuk is mindfulness about you putting everything away and just focus to Allah SWT. This is my day that I praise you. And then when you do between the two, you sit between the two sujood, you will say, you know, oh Allah, forgive me, you know, and then raise me, my social status, whatever. Is how much we do that khusyuk things. And we're talking about mindfulness. I sometimes say to the patient, look, if you can't sleep, just practice mindfulness, as easy as just listening to the fan turning, the click, 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 click sound. Because in an anxiety patient, they pace, their mind actually pays for future, and out of nowhere, the physiological, what do you call it, reaction is being activated at the wrong time. They need to sleep, and why you want to think about tomorrow? Just sleep, but they can't switch it off. So we need to get that switching off power. That's what I say. Just focus to the, you know, or you go to the backyard and listen to the bird chirping for 5 minutes, okay? Or switch on Quran or switch on music, you know, or whatever, you know, just to enjoy it. At least you focus the thing. Or sometimes if their coping mechanism is so over the shop, we normally get them write a journal, write a diary of your day. At least you focus that what happened to you just now. So those are the things. And sometimes we get patients to paint, you know, that drawing that our kindi people, children have in Malaysia, color the rabbits. But this is offered an adult coloring book, you know. So sceneries and stuff. So they color like, so that they focus on coloring. It's about ability to focus. Allah Alam, I always, somebody actually remind me, that's the verse in the Quran, wasta'inu bis-sabri was-salah. It's a very deep meaning. That salah is not just praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, is that the hikmah behind it is more in coping. We need to be khusyuk. One thing, not being political, what I have been taken as, no, I've taken it as, I reflect on it. Our Tun Mahathir Mohamad, when I was there, he managed to switch, you know, when he talked about this, he will talk. And then suddenly, the next day, he talked about something else. I think what made him to be able to do that is his ability to switch off. you know, which a lot of us do not have that skill. We tend to drag our work matters into our day-to-day activities.
Yes.
Or vice versa, we tend to drag about our, you know, what, for example, what do we tend to drag? Oh, we tend to drag about cleaning our car, about, oh, I haven't done this, or our in-laws coming, we need to clean the house, blah, blah, blah. We drag to our work matters. So it's ability to demarcate, ability, as I said just now in the beginning, to put everything in the envelope and deal with it at the appropriate time. Allahu Alam. That is mindfulness to me.
Mindfulness. Got it.
Have you guys come across the concept of mindfulness?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, just Google out. There's a lot of material on it, and they even talk about mindfulness from Islamic perspective. And it's the way that we treat a lot of mental health, especially anxiety. It's very interesting. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Doctor. We will check on that.
Question, yeah. So I guess we're done for the Q&A session since we have only around 30 minutes left.
Yep.
Okay. We'll be moving on to the lucky draw.
So, okay, thank you, Doctor, for answering the question. Okay, so my question for you is, before we proceed to the lucky draw, do you have anything to add on?
Just to thank everybody for listening, and alhamdulillah for allowing me to share my point of view. Inshallah, I'll do accept. I'll very much accept any feedback. Starting from inshallah.
We're grateful to have you.
As far you've been doing great, yeah, Doctor. We are so grateful to have you here. All right, thank you very much, Doctor. So for the lucky draw, our committee members will choose 3 lucky audiences that are registered for our webinar. Winners will get the chance to win an e-wallet voucher worth RM50 ringgit. The winners will need to contact the number in the chat box below to claim your prizes. Unclaimed prizes within 24 hours will be donated to the local charities. So, let's spin the wheel.
Let's do it then. Where is our wheel of fortune?
Coming right up.
All right, congratulations, Yet Haziq bin Khalil. You are our first winner. And don't forget to contact Alif at 014512358 to claim your prize. All right, unclaimed prizes within 24 hours will be donated to local charities. All right, let's spin it again. All right,
so
next.
Congratulations, Amira Binti Hashim. So please claim your prizes within 24 hours. And the third winner will be
Noor Aina Binti Mat Yusuf. Congratulations. Don't forget to claim the prizes within 24 hours, okay? So,
all right.
I think we're almost at the end of our webinar. Do you have anything else to say, Wani?
Okay. Yeah, so I would like to congratulate all the winners. But we have reached at the end of our webinar. So we would like to thank every single one of you for attending and staying from start till end. We hope everyone has gained new knowledge from this webinar and also spread what you have learned to those around you who are struggling in the context of work-life balance.
Yes.
Before we leave, don't forget to fill in the registration form to receive an e-certificate for your attendance in today's webinar. Also, not to forget to fill in the feedback form in the description below. We would love to know what you think of our webinar. Reminder
Yes,
to
true.
our UiTM staff, don't forget to fill the forms as a recognition for your training hours. We truly appreciate your time and effort.
All right. On behalf of Spita Production and the UiTM committee, we would like to thank Dr. Azizah for sharing your knowledge with us today. I hope you've gained something useful from our webinar. And I also like to take this moment as well to give thanks to our lecturer, Dr. Noor, for helping us turn this vision into a reality. Lastly, I'd like to end this webinar with an apology from our team and the moderators as well for the hiccups along the way. That's all from us. Thanks for joining and have a good night. Now, before we dismiss, let us listen to a song from UiTM Di Hatiku by UiTM.
So hold on a second. So I would like to thank Dr. Azizah again for your time here. We really appreciate your context is very good and very fulfilling. And me as a moderator myself and a listener too, I gained something and I would like to learn more about what you have given to us in these 2 hours.
Yes, indeed.
So let's hear the UiTM Di Hatiku song. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, everyone. Really, thank you. And my team, good job. Well done.
Well done, everyone. Round of applause for everyone.
See ya, Doctor.
See ya,
Thank you
Doctor.
very much again. We really appreciate your presence here.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thank you.